Summers used to always be a really big struggle for me, and especially when it came to productivity. I would always make some really grand plans about how I'd have almost a movie-like transformation over the summer and become a completely different person. But what would end up always happening is I would take 1 or 2 weeks off after finals, and then those 2 weeks off would turn into a month off, and then the night before school would start, I would be frantically finishing all of my summer homework. But I figured out ways to have productive summers and not let them slip away anymore. So all of the tips I have are in this video, and hopefully they're helpful. But before we get into that, I really quickly wanted to mention the sponsor of today's video, Goodwall. So Goodwall is great for having a productive summer since it's a community with over 1 million students and young professionals where you can find different useful opportunities like scholarships and jobs and create your own profile. So your personal profile is basically like a personal website where you can list your achievements and skills and ideas. So on Goodwall's feed, you can then find personalized inspiration and motivation based on your interests and the fields you're going into. And you can also join in different community challenges if you want some extra motivation, and then also see the members that you're following and other members whose achievements you can celebrate, and they can also celebrate your achievements. So on the opportunities tab, you can find internships and scholarships and jobs that are tailored to your interests and skills. And if you ever want to chat with somebody who's in your field or career path, you can find that in their interest-based group chats, where you can also chat with students from around the world. So overall, it's a really great app, and I'll be hosting a Q&A on Goodwall on June 14th at 2 p.m. EST. So hopefully I'll see you guys there, and I'll be answering any questions you have about studying and productivity. So this first section is on tips on how to set goals for the summer. And this is also related more just in general to everyday life, but this is specifically to summer when you might not have as structured of a life as you have when you're in university or at a job. So the first key is to make your goals as realistic as humanly possible. My biggest mistake when I would be making goals for my summers was that I always would make them super complicated. I would have goals for every single area of my life, from my habits to school to organization to exercising to everything, and I wanted to dramatically change my entire life in one summer. And honestly, that is just extremely overwhelming, and usually you end up doing none of those things when you have way too many things that you're supposed to be doing at once and starting at the same time. So what I like to do is set maximum 5, but I personally prefer more like 3 goals for the summer, and these are the bare minimums of what I would like to get done this summer. So the key here is to be as realistic as humanly possible and understand your own physical limitations, and make the list based on your own priorities of what is really important to you. And at the end of the summer, what would you like to look back on, and what would be the most important things that you would need to get done to feel good about this summer? So once you've made your goals, make them into daily routines. When I say daily routines, it doesn't have to be something super complicated like 3 hours or more a day for each of your goals, so it's already 12 plus hours, but instead focus on just getting started. So even if it's 30 minutes a day, 1 hour a day, just starting out, make each of your goals into something that you do daily so that it becomes more manageable, and also it's not as scary. Just as an example, a mistake that I used to make a lot, especially when it came to things like self-studying for different standardized tests or just in general for different classes, I would always keep planning and overwhelming myself with some super long schedules, when instead, honestly, all I needed to do was just get started with 1 hour a day, and that's what I do now, and I just figure it out as I go. So section number 2 is about getting organized this summer. So I honestly prefer doing this in the beginning of the summer, so rather than having a few weeks completely off and doing absolutely nothing, the best way to use those few weeks would be to relax, of course, but also at the same time get organized. So I would always manage to put this as the last priority on my list of things to do for the summer and never actually get organized. And you may be wondering, Estella, how is it possible? You seem so put together and organized with all your stationery. Well, the stationery is the easy part, but all of the things like files and for all of my classes, video files, just everything that I use in daily life would always be a complete mess, and I would always procrastinate on organizing it. So now I've gotten into the habit of, after the school year is over, after my classes are over, and in the beginning of the summer, I organize all my old files and any of the clutter or mess that I have or items. The summer is a great time to get started with that. And so for instance, the first thing I did this summer was figure out which note-taking method was the best for me, and that's something that you might want to try to figure out too, so that you can be more efficient with school. And so for instance, if you're a digital note-taker like me, I also was trying to figure out which organization system was best for me on my iPad. How should I organize my files more efficiently, and just things like that. And even things like which screen protector I should use. All of these things are great because you can just get them done now and not have to worry about them when the school year starts. And last but not least, of course, you can also organize your stationery and school supplies, get rid of any ones that you don't need anymore, and that will also help you be prepared for the new school year, so you don't have a huge mess and you know where everything is and what you need and what you don't need. And section number 3 is how to actually make your days feel more productive and energized so you actually get things done. So the first thing I recommend having is a rough daily routine. And when I say rough, it doesn't have to be by the minute. You know, you wake up at 7 in the morning, at 7:05, you start having your coffee at 7:10, you're exercising. It definitely doesn't have to be that rigid. But in my experience, it is a lot more helpful to have some kind of routine than not having one at all. So of course, the first thing to do is to try to maintain your sleep schedule. And that's something that I feel like everybody says, but it is really true. It's so hard to be productive when you wake up at 12 or at 2 p.m. and you feel like the whole day is just gone. And a great way to try to fix your sleep schedule is to keep a sleep tracker and just to see how energized you feel on which days, and also just to see on average when you're sleeping. It's very helpful to just keep track of that and really be aware of it. So I also recommend trying to fill up your schedule with as many things as humanly possible. And of course, they should be relevant to the goals that you set, but also just having different things that will make your days feel different so that they don't just blur together into one giant summer where you don't remember anything and all you did was sit in your room every single day on your phone and watching and binge watching different shows. So this can include meeting up with friends, even if it's on Zoom, if you're not meeting anyone physically right now, finding new places to go exercise or just walk outside in your city, just trying to mix things up. And for me personally, nature has definitely been something that has helped a lot with my productivity. I actually realized that I feel a lot more energized and ready to conquer the day when I've spent some time outside. Being outside definitely helps you wake up, and just also it breaks up your day. And like you changed your location, so it does feel change of pace, change of scenery. I also recommend cooking your own meals. You don't have to make super complicated recipes that take 2 hours to make. That definitely is not necessary, but even just making simple salads, soups, something that's really easy to make. It not only helps you focus more on what you're eating, but the more that you do those things, the more energy you get, and the more energy you get, the more productive you are. Overall, something I've noticed is that the more things you, even small things like making your bed, cooking a meal, so weirdly enough, it's almost like the more things you do, the more energy you get, rather than the more rest you get, the more energy you get. It's something I've noticed already, even when I'm in school, in life in general. If I have a lot of classes and clubs and YouTube and just everything happening at the same time, I'm a lot more productive than in the summers when I wouldn't have anything and I would just be on my own doing whatever I wanted. So it is really important to try to fill your days and make them feel busy, because weirdly enough, it does make you more productive even if it seems like you have less time. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it interesting and helpful. I hope you guys are all staying safe and healthy and we can still make this summer a great one and a productive one. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys!